All right, all right, all right. We are cooking with gas already. Even before I got up and running, my live goal was achieved. That's amazing. Let me reset it because I'm a hoe. Let's see. Hold on a second. I got a little bleed through with oops. That's not the button I need. That's the button I need. All right. Good to see everybody in here. Let's see. What do we got? We're gonna do we're gonna do some chili peppers, I think, if I can find them. Let's do a hard puff. How about that? All right. Hello, Blue. What's going on? Good to see you. Oh, this is good. I I'm a little swampy, but hey, it's summertime and the living is easy. So today is it's Thursday, July 17th, 2025. I'm laughing because yesterday I was looking right at the date and I read it incorrectly. So here we go. Here we are. We are rocking and rolling. I'm going to start bringing people up in a minute. And before then, I'll just get a couple ideas out of the way. But first, make sure my giant lips are moisturized. I guess they're not giant. They're not Jay-Z big, so they're just good plump big, I guess, right? Anyway, so let's see. I know I wrote down a couple notes. Because the title to this is Time is Up. And the reason why I thought about that title is because I'm thinking about what might be happening in Donnie Dump's head right now. Can't quite get this collar to do the right thing. You know. So I was sort of sitting and thinking about it, like, how would I best describe my impression? Because I have no proof of this at all. This is just my impression, the musings of a talking monkey with an opinion. That's it, right? So, what's going on with Donnie Dump right now? Before I get to that, thank you folks for tapping the stream. Let's keep that going. We like to get to 10,000 likes as quickly as possible to let TikTok know that you enjoy the live and share it out as much as you can. Two ways to share: the share icon on the bottom right of the screen, and you can send it out to 10 people. And holding your finger down on the middle of the screen pops up a list, and I think you can share to as many as 30 people when you do it that way. All right. So here's my armchair psychologist idea of what might be happening. There's this principle called decompensating. And instead of trying to uh, remember what the definition is, I'll bring it up. Let's see, decompensation. So this is according to Google's AI overview. Decompensation refers to a breakdown in the body's ability to compensate for a physical or mental challenge, leading to a decline in function or worsening of symptoms. In mental health, it describes a situation where an individual's ability to manage their condition or cope with stress deteriorates, often resulting in increased symptoms or functional impairment. Hey, Danny, good to see you, as always. So, based on what I read, and I'll probably wind up reading that again, um, I think it's clear that Dump has been decompensating for quite some time now. As a matter of fact, there was a doctor whose name I don't recall right now. um, Traffic man, you're saying the microphone is on the wrong side. Actually, I flipped the image because um, actually you were seeing a mirror image until today. This is how I actually look. I found that function. I totally I because I used to do that on the phone. Whenever I would start a live, I would go to a setting and flip the image so you could see me the right way. But since I started studio, I forgot to do that, and then I just thought about that yesterday. So this is where the microphone is supposed to be. All right. So we're getting there. Slowly but surely, we're getting to 10,000. Let's keep it going, folks. So this collar is just not going to cooperate with me today. So, again, back in 2019, a psychologist came on and said that Dump was showing signs of frontotemporal dementia. I won't bore you with all the symptoms of that right now. Maybe I'll get into that later. Traffic man, you did not derail the conversation. No worries about it. Um, so, man, I want to look up that doctor's name, but and by the way, he's not alone. There have been dozens and dozens of doctors who have said similar things about about Dump's condition, his possible condition. Because again, there's since these doctors always gave a caveat, which is, he's not my client. I haven't spoken to him personally, but there's this concept in psychology that kind of compensates for the lack of ability to um, study someone personally. And that happens at a certain point when someone has thousands of hours of recorded history of them, like Dump does. I mean, I'm guessing that at this point, Dump is one of the most filmed people in human history, for better or worse, right? Blue says Dr. Lance Dodds. It's possible. I don't recall his name right now at all. I don't even have a clue as to what his name is. But again, there have been dozens of doctors that said this. And I think hundreds of them signed a letter one time attesting to their theory of his frontotemporal dementia. And Mr. Suave says he's paying for all the junk food. Could be, Mr. Suave. Could be. Could be. Um, Look, I mean, there are some things that are beyond our control as humans. Just the mechanism doesn't age like wine, it ages like bread. Okay. And the end of life is sometimes very unglamorous and ungracious and sad. People who were once vibrant and energetic and full of life just kind of drain away. Not to get too morose, and I won't linger on this, but when I went to see my mother in December, right before she passed, she was so tiny. And for for someone who has memories of her when I held her hand and looked up at her and she loomed so large in my life, both physically and metaphorically, it was weird to see her so tiny and wasting away. And, a lot of that was from the Alzheimer's, but, it's just life, right? It's the circle of life. So thank you, Blue. Donnie's just another meat sack that's decaying. And again, this is not me saying that I know what's going on with him. I don't. I have zero proof. I am only offering my opinion. I'm hoping that my opinion is informed by the fact that for the last 48 years, I've not only been reading about psychology, but I've been employing it in my daily life as not only a salesperson, but also a public speaker and a coach, right? I've given probably over 200 different public speeches, um, coached a couple hundred people as well. So I hope that I have some understanding of the human condition because I do find it fascinating. I find it fascinating that we're all born with the same software package, right? Our DNA gives us all almost exactly the same tools at the beginning of our lives. And the expression of those tools is predictable, right? When you look at child psychology, you know, that's the study where we just try to observe children and make sense of how they develop, right? And you see that there are ranges of their development that are predictable. You can chart them. You can say at X amount of time they start to be able to hold their head up. At X amount of time they start to be able to hold their body up. At X amount of time they start to crawl. At X amount of time they start to attempt to walk. By X amount of time they are usually walking. Then we have talking. Then we have independence, autonomy. We have rebellion. And then early adulthood and then later adulthood. And then, so there's this, the only way that we could have these charts and statistics is because there's a predictable pattern to human development. And I think the only reason that there's a predictable pattern is because we're all born with the same software. Our DNA gives us all the same instructions when we're young, right? And really, those instructions carry us through our entire lives. Like, we know that we have to eat. Nobody has to teach us. No one ever has to explain to us that we have to eat. We feel it. Our body changes our chemistry so that we know, hey, it's time for you to fuel up, right? We have a sense of when, there's something wrong with us. Usually pain sends a signal somewhere in our body that lets us know there's a problem. That's why I don't like the doctors who are quick to prescribe a pill before they understand the source of the problem. When I read his book, Dick Gregory wrote a book, I want to say in the 60s or the 70s, that was called Cooking with Mother Nature. And he gave me a metaphor that I still think about to this day. Danny, I'll bring you up very soon. Um, he said, when a doctor gives you a pill to take away your pain, it's the same thing as a mechanic disconnecting the oil light because the oil light came on. So pain, like the oil light, is an indicator that there's a problem somewhere. So obviously, you would look at your mechanic like he was crazy if you pulled up and said, "Hey, my oil light's on," and he just turns off the oil light and goes, "Okay, you're good." But we accept that from doctors. So we have all this information that we take in through our senses and maybe through senses that we don't fully understand. Um, like I like to say that our hearing is a good example. So we hear on a spectrum from 20 hertz to 20,000 hertz. That's just a measurement. It's one of those science things that I don't fully grasp, right? But they figured out this invisible spectrum of hearing, and I only know about it because I edit my own audio, so I've learned about these things. So 20,000 hertz to, I'm sorry, 20 hertz to 20,000 hertz, right? What's a hertz? I don't know. So, dogs can hear things that we can't hear, right? So that suggests to me that there are things outside of our senses, and that's kind of fascinating to me. And sometimes I think we do ourselves a disservice if we just focus on the obvious. Oh, my shoulder hurts, so let me take a pill to make sure that my shoulder doesn't hurt anymore. I think we have to start being more expansive about that. But I have gone off in other directions. Let me bring Danny up and get this conversation started in earnest. And let's see. Right. Hey, Danny, how you doing?
All right, how you doing, Yoddah?
I'm excellent. I'm going to start off slow today with the guest, WKRP. How you doing?
Well, you're fine.
I can barely hear you, WKRP.
Can you hear me now? I'm doing great,
Yes, I
man.
can. Yes, I can. Excellent. Good to hear it. So yeah. So for now, I'll have just the two of you on, and we'll see if it progresses from there. I'm trying to play with the format and see what kind of you know what kind of juice we can squeeze out of this lemon. So my overarching idea right now is that I believe that Dump is in a very obvious state of decompensation. I think the stress of his kingdom crumbling potentially is catching up to him, and he's been under stress for a long time because since he left office, the law has been coming after him because he can afford good lawyers. He kept the law at bay,
Mm-hmm.
um, and I can't fault him for that. He took advantage of the legal system as it is presented to him, so I will not criticize him for doing that. And the presidency saved him from being sentenced to 34 felony convictions, or four 34 felony convictions. And then so he had a breather for a moment when it was announced that he won, but now that everyone is figuring out finally what we've been saying for 10 years, that he's a lying piece of shit, now he's at odds with his own base, or so it would appear. Right? Yeehaw. So Um, so Danny, what do you think about that so far?
Well, I can't disagree with what you said so far. That he had played the system well. His attorneys strung this thing out as long as they could to make sure that he got into the to the election. And right there, when he won, it was game over.
Right.
Even though that judge in New York was getting ready to, if he hadn't won, I believe that he would have sentenced him very harshly.
We
And
don't know. Yeah, we'll never know
we
that.
don't
But
know.
yes, I happen to think that that is true.
So, but anyway, even if he'd have gotten sentenced, with his attorney and the money that he has, he was going to appeal the crap out of that. Uh, uh, what they were going to do to him, I'm sure they were going to appeal it, and he probably would have never spent a day in jail until after all the appeals played out.
And that's fine. That's the legal process. So that's true. But the appeals process does end, and if he had not been uh, installed as president, he would have eventually had to face the end of that appeals process and time in jail. What I was surprised at, although this could still happen, I think, but uh, when he violated the gag order during that trial 10 times,
Right.
each violation carried a 30-day, or I should say up to 30-day time in jail. So that judge could have said, let's put him in jail for 300 days.
Right.
And, I don't agree with Mershon's decision not to do that, but I understand it because Mershon was actually being expansive in his thinking, because this is a man whose daughter was attacked by Dump and his team and his
Right.
sycophants. So he showed phenomenal restraint and even-handedness in the face of a man threatening his family. But be that as it may, yeah, I agree with you. WKRP, what are your thoughts on this?
I agree the same. But I really wish that the judge had have given him the time, because he knew he was gonna, well, after he won the election. But I guess that all plays into, okay, well, I guess I'll go with them and do what I have to do. And so I guess that's one of the things, man, as we were saying. But because he didn't, I just felt like he just got preferential treatment, which I knew was going to happen. I knew, I kind of felt like the judge wasn't going to sentence him to anything, not to just
See,
stay in.
I suppose you could consider that preferential treatment only because I know that the judge's daughter was attacked. I have a hard time using those words to describe what happened, but ultimately that's probably a fair description.
Yeah, because that's just how I felt, because I just care, okay, they're not going to let him do any time. And he's up for the presidency too. They're just not going to do it. And true and behold, they had a meeting and the judge came back with a decision. Okay, there it is. I said, okay. But just like you were saying, man, it happens. And he's a great actor. Donald Trump is a great actor and a salesman. I put it like that.
I don't think he's a good actor. I do think he's a he's a good salesperson to a particular demographic, because
Yeah.
I'm offended that he could even be considered a salesperson, because I'm a professional salesperson
Yeah.
and his tactics are very, very paltry to me. But he
Yeah.
chose the perfect demographic, which is dumb people, right?
Yeah. That's
So
what, yeah.
if you're trying to sell stuff to dumb people, then yeah, you're going to have an easier time of it. I was selling stuff to owners and CEOs, that's a much tougher audience.
Yeah.
When someone owns and operates their own business, not that they're necessarily imbued with a special kind of genius, but you have to be reasonably intelligent to do that successfully, especially over a sustained period of time. That's why Donnie Dump has had so many business failures, because he's dumb. And he's the worst kind of dumb guy, because he is the living embodiment of the idea that, like, a lot of dumb people think that they're actually smarter than everyone around them. The Dunning-Kruger effect, right? They tend to think that it's not them, it's everybody else. They tend to think not only are they not incompetent, but everybody around them is the incompetent one. That's why when Dump cursed on television recently, people were focused on the curse. I was focused on the context of the curse, which was he was telling the leaders of Israel and Iran that they didn't know what the fuck they were doing.
Yeah, when the reporter asked
And
him,
I'm like,
they
yeah,
don't know.
they know what they're doing, because they're playing you like a fucking fiddle.
True.
Every despot and dictator in the world is playing you like a fiddle, because all they know, all they know that they have to do is tickle your balls a little bit, and you'll do whatever they want.
Hey,
Right?
you said it,
Just
hey, you
stroke
said it
their
right.
fucking ego. Stroke his ego. Bribe him. They know he's so transparent and so shallow in his obvious corruption that all they have to do is be like, hey, I know we make trillions of dollars in Qatar, but let's throw you a trinket with this broken down $400 million plane so that you can do what we want.
Yeah, and like clockwork, he goes for the okie doke. And the thing is, when he was telling that report about they don't know what the f they're doing, he was so concentrated, as much as I want to say, on this Nobel Peace Prize. He really wants that.
Right. Well, listen,
Crazy.
if it's
Yeah,
not obvious to you that dropping armaments on a country that didn't attack us makes you deserve a Nobel Peace Prize, I don't know what to tell you, WKRP.
I know.
You know, I mean,
I think that's why he
I
got upset when they started bombing each other back again.
don't say
With
that B
Israel.
word.
Oh, I'm sorry.
So
Well,
here's the thing. I think Obama got a Peace Prize also, right?
yeah, yeah. And
So
that's
let me
right.
just say this. I don't think he deserved it. I disagree with Barack Obama getting a Nobel Peace Prize. You cannot use drones to end the life of innocent civilians and deserve a Peace Prize. Fuck that bullshit. Do you disagree?
In context, yeah, because it's for peace.
What do you mean? That's some 1984 backwards logic. War is peace. Fuck that bullshit. You
No, no,
cannot
no, not saying
cause
war
the
is peace.
suffering of people and the end of people's lives and talk about peace. Sorry, that doesn't work for me.
I understand what you're saying, but you're right about that, because peaceful times wouldn't be war. You're a peaceful person that wouldn't advocate
WAR.
war. Yeah,
Uh,
WAR. Wow. Yeah. Okay.
Uncle Phil love MAGA.
Yeah.
And there's a person with huh. His username is Dump Saves TikTok. That's really funny.
Yeah. Yeah. Right.
It's obviously a burner account, but because you're so offensive, you're getting blocked.
Can I make a PSA right quick? I just want to let everybody know that please keep tapping and keep sharing. I keep saying there's about 42 people coming in. Please keep sharing. This is a great show, a great host. that is filled with great insight on a lot of things. So you people don't want to miss it, and let other people know about what's going on right here on Yoda's Live.
Oh, you're the
Thank you.
best, man. Thank you so much, WKRP. I appreciate that. So, Danny, what do you think of Barack Obama getting a Nobel Peace Prize?
Well, I had mixed emotions when he got it. So I have to agree with what you said to WKRP, and I can understand where WKRP was coming about. But, however, if we really, this whole competition about which president is getting the Nobel Peace Prize, that's what Dump is really wanting. He wants it because he's that way he can tell Obama, "Well, I got one," and that's
100%.
childish. But
Yeah.
100%. Spot on.
the the person that really deserved it and got it was Jimmy Carter.
Right.
You know, he actually did something. He worked and he earned it.
His peace
Did
accord
it
lasted
sustain?
decades.
That's right. And
Mhm.
it didn't sustain as long as we wished, but at least he got that done. And he was a great humanitarian. And I swear that he probably could have got the Nobel several times, and he would rightfully deserved it.
Yeah.
But especially with Habitat with for Humanity and all that, he did a lot of good in this world. And when we lost him last year, it was a sad day in America.
Yes, sir. Yes,
Yeah.
sir.
He went just after my mother did. And, to me, he was a giant who walked the earth. What he did in his presidency was amazing. And I don't mean the raw statistics of it. He inherited a horrendous situation. And he did the best he could, but outside of the statistics, what he was trying to make America aware of, what he was trying to do by saying we have to get off this oil dependency. He was a visionary. And if America had done what he had suggested, instead of dismantling everything that the New Deal had created under Reagan, I believe in my heart those two towers would still be in downtown New York.
I agree. Absolutely. 10 toes down.
Because, our involvement in the Middle East is so indicative of colonialization. It's the thing that America has done over and over and over again. They go into a region, disrupt everything. Oh, we're going to bring you democracy. Well, we weren't asking for democracy. We just want a brutal dictator to stop ending our lives, right? And that's what created uh, um, Osama bin Laden. That's what created him. There are photos of Donald Rumsfeld shaking his hand because in 1980, America intervened in the Russia attacking Afghanistan situation. We were
Yeah,
training his people.
that's correct.
And then
You're
when we
right.
were done, we just left and said, hey, good luck to you. We got what we wanted. We did our thing, you know? And after he left, bin Laden was just like, well, fuck these people. Now, whether he was right or wrong, I suppose is debatable, but that's how he felt.
And
Now,
you know, Yoda.
I don't want to talk about this too much longer, but I do want to get your last thought on this, WKRP, but I just want to say something quietly into the mic.
Yeah.
There's never been any evidence presented that Osama bin Laden had anything to do with 9/11. What were you going to say,
I
WKRP?
know. I was gonna say, Bin Laden was also brought to the United States over here. They trained in Alabama, where we have a Maxwell Air Force Base. They brought him here,
Yeah.
and total great friends then. But all of a sudden, I don't know what transpired, and they were saying he's an enemy of state, of the United States. So, so like you just were saying, I don't know if there's any evidence about he had something to do with it or not.
Yeah, if there is, they never presented it.
No.
There was a video of a bearded guy talking in a cave about the towers coming down, and every member of the intelligence community that focused on the Middle East said, that's not Osama bin Laden. Every one of them. But it was
Wow.
presented as if it was. They were like, oh, you see this bearded guy talking? That's Osama talking about the towers coming down. I remember all of it, man. I was glued to my television during that time. I was taking it all in because I was traumatized by that whole shit. I was in the city that day, and it was brutal.
I feel you. Yeah. I watched the television as well, glued to it. Sad day.
Indeed. All right, folks, 47 of us in here. Please remember, do the daily heart me thing. That's always a good thing. Get this fan base going, because very soon, or not very soon, soon, at a certain point, I'm going to start doing bonus content for the fan base. So, you know, every time you come on to the live, you do the daily heart me, and you get points for it. I think you get something like 65 or 75 points if you do all the things that they say to do, which is like leave a comment, share a heart me, you know, all that stuff that you do. So, you know, you just go down the list. I do it like literally every time I get on the live. That's the first 30 seconds that I do when I'm listening to someone else's live. I'm like, all right, heart me, give me my points, give me my points, give me my points.
That's
Right.
me. That's what I do when I call.
There you go. So, you know, it's that old saying, if it's free, it's for me. Back to Donnie Dump. So again, I think he is, aside from, so let you know what, I said I wasn't going to talk about it earlier, but I did say I would probably get to it. I want to talk about frontotemporal dementia. And frontotemporal is one word. It's not frontal, like the front of something. It's frontotemporal dementia. So let's see. It is a neurodegenerative brain disorder that occurs when nerve cells in the frontal and temporal lobes degenerate, causing the lobes to shrink. It affects behavior, personality, language, and movement, and causes intellectual losses that can interfere with daily life. Frontotemporal dementia has no known cure, but treatments, but treatments can help with some symptoms. It's also known as frontotemporal lobar degeneration, or PICS disease. So let me give you a little bit of information regarding the symptoms. Slurring words in a way where you, okay, I see that Ella wants to come up. I'll bring up Ella for now. Slurring words in a way, like the way Dump slurs words, is kind of interesting and very indicative of frontotemporal dementia. He will say a word and mess it up and kind of inject a sound as a filler because he's saying the wrong word, but it sounds almost right because he's keeping the cadence. You know, like he was trying to say the origins of something, and he was saying the oranges. And if you track down that video, it's painful to watch because he lingers and attempts the word like 3 or 4 times. He goes oranges, and he pauses and he goes the oranges, the oranges, and he just can't get it.
Sir,
Yes.
I understand that you were right about what you're saying, but what you were talking about is not correct.
Okay. Well, so that's a very bizarre set of feedback.
Okay,
so let
what
me
you're saying
if we're going to
about
have a
him-
conversation, that means after you say something, I get to say something and you
Yeah,
listen.
okay.
Okay?
Yeah.
So what I'm
Okay,
saying is what you said doesn't quite make sense. So I'd like you to expand on that. What do you mean
Okay.
what I'm saying is correct, but what I'm saying about it is not right, or whatever it is you said? That's a little unclear to me.
So you were talking about a certain type of neurological disorder, right?
Hmm.
He does not have that.
How do you know?
It doesn't present that way.
Uh, present what way?
The way that you're representing it to present.
I only said one thing about
I
one of the ways
dislike
that it
him
presents.
so
Hold on,
much.
you're a little jumpy, and you don't seem to
Listen,
have too much self-control. So
I
I'm gonna
don't
try
like
and engage
him.
with you, but you're really annoying me right now because you keep fucking
Mm.
talking while I'm trying to talk to you. So do you have self-control?
Do you?
All right, good question. Let's see. I guess we'll never know. Weirdos. Absolutely weirdos. So, what is it about people that they just can't have a conversation? Why is that so hard to do? I mean, is it just the typical MAGA hat childishness where they have no impulse control?
I don't know.
Like, what's the story there? My God. And I'm literally trying to explain to her, hey, calm yourself. Let's have a conversation. Because I try to give people space to disagree with me. I don't care if people are disagreeing with me. I don't
Yeah,
mind that. I'm not convinced I'm right all the time.
yeah,
But like, all right, explain to me what you're trying to say. Like, oh, it's not the way you presented it. I said one thing. I gave one example, the oranges thing. Right? And that
yeah.
is one of the ways, and the only reason I believe that it's one of the ways that frontotemporal dementia presents itself is because every fucking article talked about that. So that's why I asked her,
I've
how do you know? And she didn't have an answer for that. Right?
yeah, yeah. I feel
Anyway.
like sometimes, like Grandpa Danny, like he said, he's gonna stop trying to. Man, you can't convince these people or anything. But she came up here like trying to correct you about something.
And
But
that's fine. I don't
I,
I don't mind because here's the thing. There's always a chance that I get something wrong and that it needs to be
yeah,
corrected. I have no problem with that.
yeah, I saw.
Absolutely
Yeah,
no problem. Like the other day, someone did it. I said something wrong. Someone said, oh, it's this. And I said, oh, you're right. Thank you for the correction. Literally, it was that simple.
yeah. Keep it
You're right. Thank you for
cordial.
the
Yeah,
correction.
yeah.
Right? I'm not in love with the sound of my own voice. I like the sound of my voice. I'm not in love with it though. I don't think that every thought that comes out of my big empty fucking head is right. Right?
I
They're
got
just
you,
I'll
bro.
I'll take
Yeah,
ownership of having them be my thoughts, but I'm not committed to the idea that every thought I have is right.
I got you. But anyway,
So I
it's
give
all
these
good.
twits the opportunity to give me their point of view, and they just can't pull it together. Me their point of view, and they just can't. Oops, something. Oh, hello.
Well,
All right, we have. I'm
what was
watch you.
that?
Is that it? Hello, I'm watch you.
I may have a good hi. I may have a good connection. Can you hear me?
Unfortunately, we can't. You could try either moving to a better location or dropping down and coming back up. Whatever you think is best. All right, I'm
I'll
gonna
drop
just. I'm
down and
gonna. Yeah, I've
I
disconnected you.
I
Come back in a
felt
minute.
very
Oh, whoa! Suddenly, for some reason, we can still hear. Okay, she's gone now. So yeah, try it when you got a better signal. Um. So anyway, as I was saying, that slurring thing was one way that frontotemporal dementia presents itself. There are actually several ways. Like that story that he told about Hannibal Lecter is an interesting, subtle way. Not a major way, but it's a
Yeah.
subtle way when he was talking about Hannibal Lecter as though he were a real person. And by the way, he told that story almost every day. During the 2024 campaign season, which is to say all of 2024, he had campaign stops almost every day. And he told that story about Hannibal Lecter. Like he had this set of stories that he told every time. That's why people used to walk out of his campaign stops, because he would tell the same fucking stories every time. He would tell the story
And they
about the
could.
scorpion and the frog. He would tell the story
Yeah.
about Hannibal Lecter. He would tell the story about the boat sinking with a battery on it and the shark coming at him, and which is just dumb. Apparently, Donnie Dump never figured out what happens to batteries when they interact with water. So, yes, thank you. I'm gonna watch you. Leaning forward, the way you'll see several photos of him where he's on the tips, not on the tips of his toes, but he's leaning so far that his weight is borne completely on the front of his feet, which is not how someone would normally stand. When you normally stand up, you center your weight from your heels forward so that you're stable, right? But when you have frontotemporal dementia, you lean forward. As a matter of fact, there was that group. Oh man, I forget their name now. But if you go to YouTube, you just put in, TRUMP and signs of dementia, you will get so many videos come up that give you so many different examples. And here's what I want everybody to understand. I am not bringing this up to make fun of him in any way. I'm not unhappy that he's disintegrating, but I'm not celebrating it, if that makes sense. So,
Yeah. It does.
this is what I believe is actually happening. I think when you read down the list of all the ways that frontotemporal dementia presents itself, you will see that he pretty much has all of the indicators, right? So is that saying something with 100% certainty? No, I can't possibly do that. I'm not a licensed healthcare professional, especially specializing in psychotherapy or clinical psychology or anything like that, or psychiatry, right? So I can't make that diagnosis. And even if I were licensed, I still couldn't make that diagnosis because he's not my client. But as I said earlier, when there's thousands of hours of footage of you, interviews and interviews and interviews and speeches, you start to see a pattern of behavior. And the professionals have said, well, this is what this pattern indicates. Unfortunately, what this means, just like in the film, The Madness of King George, this is a great concern to the populace, because it is possible that the person with the nuclear codes is decompensating in front of our eyes. Danny, what do you think? Is this a cause for concern? Danny, I don't know if you're
Okay, I
talking.
found my
There you
button. I
are.
found it. I found it.
There you
There I go.
go.
I was having a senior moment. Uh, yeah, absolutely. It gives me concern, uh, especially with everything that was what he was like before he got back in the office, because the moral character of this man alone worried the hell out of me because he'll do anything to make himself look good, to include destroy another country if it make him look good to everybody else to get reelected or to
Right.
do anything or to make money. I mean, he sold his he sell he actually, excuse me, I may have dementia. He has sold his soul to the devil 10 times over, that bothers the hell out of me. But with him deteriorating in front of our eyes and doing, because I knew back right after he left office in 2020, you could tell that he wasn't all there. He was not playing with a full deck. You could tell by like you said, his stances, the way he stood, the way he slurred words, the way he sniffed. We always thought maybe he might have done too much recreational uh, rugs,
Substances. Yeah.
but
Yeah.
yeah, because he had the symptoms of the snorting and the drilling and the rip
Oh, yeah.
and the
Yeah.
nose and everything. So, yeah, I'm extremely worried because he has the codes. Let's face it, Stephen. You need to mute your mic. Thank you. You're making a
I've
lot of
muted
noise.
his mic. Yeah.
Thank you.
I'll unmute you in
He
a
has
moment, but there's a lot of background noise coming from you. So
he has
no
the
worries.
code, the nuclear codes. I mean, he has control the world's most strongest army in the world. And but that
He's the
mental
most powerful
capacity,
human in the world. Like, whether we
I
like it or
know.
not, that's the position of American president. You are the most powerful human being in the world.
So, I mean, if there's people out there in the chat or out there that's listening to us that's not in the chat, if you're comfortable with that type of lunacy and possibility of going bad, very bad in a very short amount of time, then I'm glad you're happy, but I am not happy about this individual.
Stephen, I've
That's what I got to
unmuted
say.
your mic. How you doing tonight?
Hey, I'm doing good. Thank you for bringing me up. I'm
Of
so
course.
sorry that I had my back turned when
Oh,
you
no
brought me
worries,
up.
man. No worries at
Yeah,
all.
yeah. Yeah, one reason I really think you're right about this is when they were explaining the OBBB to him, he kept saying, "We're not cutting Medicare, Medicaid, or Social Security," and then someone in his conference would be like, "That's exactly what we're doing," and he couldn't comprehend that. Say what
Yeah.
we want about him. I think like in his first term, he was a little bit more there, even though he was crazy, and he made strategic decisions. I don't think he's making strategic decisions anymore. I think he's skating by on the fact that people really like him, but he's not. He's not there.
Yeah. I mean, of course, I think it's debatable whether he was making strategic decisions in his first term, but that's beside the point.
Fair.
And I think what you're describing is more of a sign of his intelligence than necessarily a symptom of what I'm talking about. Again, but but that is significant, right? Like when you know, it adds fuel to the fire for a dumb guy to have frontotemporal dementia, you know? So yeah, I'm with you on that. And, when you see him signing, and I've only caught snippets of this because I do my best to avoid him online, but once in a while, when I'm catching up on news and stuff, I'll see snippets of him. And one of the things that I noticed when he's signing um, his executive orders, he almost never knows what he's signing.
Oh no,
And
not
if
anymore.
you pay attention to body language, as I do always, just out of habit, just because I've been in sales since 1984, and I'm always paying attention to how people are communicating and what they're revealing about themselves. And you'll see that human reptile Stephen Miller hand him something to sign, and he looks up and he's like, "And what is this?" And then when
Right.
they explain it, you can tell very often that there's no sign of recognition that he's heard this before, even though most certainly he has. There's been meetings where they briefed him on this stuff, but he doesn't retain anything. Like
It might as well be
if
Charlie
you
Brown's
talk to the
teacher.
people that were on his staff the first time around, the people that defected, they said, yeah, he is a fiercely stupid person.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely, 100%.
Yeah.
I think I'll amend my previous statement about strategic. There, I think he knows his audience decently well from television, and there was that one time where a guy was talking about uh, conceal and carry reciprocity, and in a meeting he goes, "We're not doing that," and I felt like there was some life behind that because he understands his audience, and I don't see any of that anymore.
Yeah.
Everything you're talking about, the Scorpion and the Frog story, the Hannibal. I think he believes Hannibal Lecter was a real person.
Yeah.
Uh,
Okay. So speaking of confusing fact and fiction, just like a couple of days ago, well, within the last week, he was somewhere giving a speech, and he loves to uh, get accolades by proxy,
oh yeah,
meaning like if he knows someone is special or good or smart or whatever in any kind of way, he loves to attach himself to that, right?
being
So
in
he had
proximity.
an uncle who was an MIT professor. That is a fact. He started telling a story about how his uncle had 3 different degrees, which he didn't. He started talking about the fact that his uncle had Ted Kaczynski as a student, which he didn't. Okay. But when I watch him tell the story, because for me, it's easy to spot someone lying.
Oh yeah,
It's hard to spot meaningless lies because they don't register on the body. But
sure.
if you're telling a big whopper of a lie where you have consequences for being caught, your body is going to give you away,
Yeah.
right?
I used to work luxury retail. This is something I'm attuned to.
There you go. When I saw him telling the story of his uncle, he 100% believed every word he was saying. 100%. His Ted Kaczynski didn't even go to the same college as where his uncle taught. His uncle dropped in 1985. Kaczynski didn't go to college until like 96 or something like that, or whatever it
Right.
was. Like, it was just literally impossible for what he was saying to be true. Right. And I might be getting the years of Ted Kaczynski's schooling off a little bit, but I know for a fact that his uncle dropped in like 85 or 86, something like that. So it was just literally impossible for what he was saying to be true, but he 100% believed it. So I don't know if you, how much of the earlier conversation that you caught, but if there's anything else you want to share, please do.
I came in about 10 minutes ago.
Okay.
And by the way,
So
you're
yeah, so
live.
you caught most of the conversation about his what is in my opinion his cognitive decline. I think it's gotten really bad. And by the way, if you look at his speeches from 2015, which most of us are loath to do, but if you just want to have a comparison of what 10 years has done to this guy mentally, that's a great barometer because he was a different person when he spoke 10 years ago.
And to what you're saying, just a little bit about my background. I live with a chronic condition with leukemia. So I know how when one thing's wrong with the body, something else could be wrong with the body as well. They are announcing today his venous insufficiency. When you have problems wrong with the heart, things can go wrong with your head.
Yes.
Really quickly, not only from the stress of knowing that there's something wrong with your heart or your veins or your blood, but because the actual like hormone production of like when something's wrong with your heart can actually really attack the brain because it could overproduce certain hormones and stuff like that. it's not unrealistic to think that a problem with his heart is also accelerating what else is wrong with his brain.
Yeah, without a doubt, that's exactly right. So Cynthia pointed out the one of the most glaring examples of what we're talking about. They're eating the dogs. They're eating the cats. They're eating the pets. I mean, folks,
Amen.
let's take a pause here. We got 89 people in the house. I know that we could get to 75,000 likes in like 5 minutes. I know that people forget to tap the screen when they're getting into the conversation, and so that's sort of a compliment to my panelists and to what they're contributing. But please remember, tap the screen. Go fast and furious. Let's get us up to 50,000 as quickly as possible to let TikTok know that somebody likes what they're hearing. So, yeah, like they are right now, and let me qualify that. When I say they, all of the people that are holding his strings, because I firmly believe that he is a puppet figurehead. He does
100%.
not have 1 ounce of ability to create what we're seeing right now. Is he an agent of chaos all on his own? Absolutely. And that's been true for pretty much his whole life. Has he harmed people in very significant ways before now? Absolutely. Been doing it for a very, very, very long time. But what we're seeing now is a different level. We are seeing someone who, again, in my opinion, and I have to keep qualifying that, in my opinion, this is a man who is so vulnerable that everyone around him that wants to take advantage of him not only can, but absolutely is. Traffic Man,
I
what's
think
up, brother?
How you doing tonight, Yoda?
Excellent. Steven, what were you going to say?
I was gonna say, one of the things I found the most curious about all of this is not how he's treating the people he doesn't like, but treating the people who have put him there. Like when I see how he is now firmly against Russia in a new way, I I found that very odd that there could possibly be something wrong. I think he might understand being embarrassed on the world stage more than he would understand that those are the people who put him there.
Right.
And I say that with not qualifying evidence, but my own personal beliefs.
Right.
Um, and I can see a contributing factor there.
100%. 100%. His priorities are all in the wrong place. His vanity is so out of control. And it permeates every aspect of his personality. Like he didn't know clearly for the longest time that in Russia they mock him publicly
Yeah.
and consistently and severely. They think he's a joke more than a lot of Americans do. Like they have nothing but vitriol for the guy. And Putin is a master spy.
Oh, 100%.
The art of deception flows through every part of his body. I mean, look at what he did to fucker Carlson. Carlson is a guy who's a smarmy piece of shit, and he thinks he's so smart because he was born with a silver spoon in his mouth, been wealthy all his life, and is a virulent racist. He's the one that every single night that he was on talked about the YT replacement theory.
Yeah.
Every single fucking night.
Dangerous anti-Latino racist.
Absolutely. So this guy in his domain, Carlson, that is, in his domain, he's a big fish. Putin ragdolled him like it was nothing.
100%.
I mean, Carlson, here's a great analogy. It's kind of a street analogy, but what Putin did to fucker on television was the equivalent of a prisoner in a maximum security prison going up to another dude and saying, "Hold on to my belt and follow me around."
Yeah.
If you don't know, sorry, but if you know, you know.
Yeah.
That's some serious degradation. Traffic Man, what's on your mind tonight, my friend?
Well, on the topic, I think it was very funny. I believe the funniest point for me with the Fucker Carlson interview, I believe that's what you're talking about.
Yeah, I think that's the way
Um,
you pronounce it, but go ahead, yeah.
okay, okay, okay. Was when he went down to the subway, and I really wish he would have been like, look. In Russia we have best subway. In America you have no subway like this. This is great subway. No, so it's so beautiful. You know what I mean? I really wish that's the way he would have enunciated instead of
Right,
just being like, how
right.
come we don't have this in America? Well, it's because we don't build our infrastructure around people. Politicians. We build our infrastructure to serve the people.
Yeah,
That's why
yeah.
we don't have statues and stuff.
But I
Oh
mean,
God, yeah,
Carlson was it would have taken Carlson 5 minutes to figure out that what he was saying about the price of groceries was 100% ridiculous. This was my
I
favorite
mean,
part. He was like, you could do all your shopping for a whole family for like $300. And it was like, hey, Tucker, I got news for you. The average income in Russia is $200 a week. So
exactly.
what the
Yep,
fuck are you talking about,
yep.
dude?
And
I
a
mean,
lot of the
it
groceries are
almost,
subsidized.
Right.
yeah, exactly. It really felt almost like he had gone to the DPRK in a sense. You know what I mean? Like those things where they take the Americans around on tours. And they're like, see, look, we have a great nation and blah blah blah. And it's like, yeah, cool. Go to the streets. I want to see the people. Like I want to see the neighborhoods and stuff. I don't want to see the shopping malls and all that. It was such a mess.
You know what's interesting is that I'm sure we've all heard some variation of the idea that you learn more by losing than you do by winning.
Oh,
And yet, we only interview the winners, right? So, yeah, if you like, and it's the same thing of when someone talks about a past life, they're like, oh, I think in a past life I was Cleopatra. Why doesn't anybody say, yeah, in a past life I was the one that cleaned up the pucatoriums? You know, everyone's past life is so fucking glamorous. Nobody had an average past life, right? It's ridiculous.
nobody
Uh,
was a paper
s-
pusher.
I'm sorry, say again?
I said nobody was a paper pusher in a past life.
Right, right. No, I'm a watch you says that apparently Stephen Colbert announced that CBS will not be renewed. The Late
Yeah,
Show
he canceled the show.
will not be replacing Colbert. He's canceling it. I find Stephen Colbert an interesting dude because he's 3 days younger than me, and uh, if we stood side by side, we probably wouldn't look like the same species. Uh, but he's a really talented dude, a really good interview, and a very funny dude. If and his sense of humor is not always on display on his show because that's a format that he has to follow. But if you see him as a guest on podcast, you really get a sense of how funny he actually is. But let's delve into the CBS thing to make a greater point about what we're saying regarding Donnie Dump.
Yeah.
He appointed an absolute uber simp sycophant as the chair of the FCC. So much so, if you need evidence to support my claim, that this motherfucker had a gold dump head lapel pin that he proudly struts around with in public when he knows people are filming him. Okay? And what we're seeing with regard to broadcasters is a desperate attempt to not get squashed, which is equivalent in my mind to when a mob guy walks into your store and says, you got to pay me to make sure nothing bad happens to your store, otherwise known as protection money, right? Because when we look at what ABC did with regard to George Stephanopoulos, all George Stephanopoulos did was repeat what a judge said about Donnie Dump. He wasn't giving his opinion. He wasn't editorializing. He was literally repeating what the judge said. And what the judge said with regard to E. Jean Carroll is that he committed grape. That's what the judge said 3 times in his ruling. Okay? And obviously, going by Dump's abysmal history in civil court, he would have lost that case in civil court. It was so obvious. There was nothing that Stephanopoulos did that even comes close to defamation or slander or libel or anything. But ABC is in the middle of merger talks. So that $15 million that they paid, 15 or 16 million, whatever it was just to make sure that their protection money got to the right person so they could protect and preserve billions of dollars in future profit. And we know literally that Dump has declared that he is planning on harming or jailing or doing something to anyone that displeases him in broadcasting. If you are a journalist and you say mean things to Daddy Dump, he is going to enact his vengeance. He has made it clear. That's not an interpretation on my part. He has said it outright. He's musing on whether it's okay to jail journalists and deport these people and all this other shit. So this isn't a conspiracy theory. It's right in our fucking face. And this is part of the danger of everything that we're talking about. His decompensation is making him more dangerous. Go ahead, Stephen.
Yeah, I mean, I live right here in Los Angeles. Secret police were openly shooting journalists on the street.
Pew-pewing. We unfortunately can't use adult words on TikTok. No worries.
Sorry, I'm used to.
We all fuck up. All of us fuck up every night, so don't worry about it.
I'm used to the other shithole over on Twitter. They openly pew-pewed with less than lethal, but still very dangerous ammunitions. If you guys know that,
one. And by the way, just as a quick aside, one journalist got struck in the temple.
Yeah,
and like a little bit over more. If you get hit in the eye or any other soft tissue with that, it could be lights out, as Danny has pointed out in the past. But please continue.
So there is a WAR on journalism.
100%.
We see it out in the streets, and the people who are authorized to do such things are, his secret police out here ravaging my city right now.
Yeah, illegally using military, forcing, violating states' rights, all that shit. And just take a quick pause. We're so close. We're at 47,000 likes. So I believe within the next 45 minutes, we can get to 100,000 likes. We got to 94,000 the other night. I was very pleased with that. You guys are amazing. Keep tapping, keep inviting people in, keep spreading the word. So anybody else want to chime in with thoughts on what we're talking about? Win once.
I was just reflecting back to what I was in my past life. I must have been a prostitute because I'm still getting screwed. and not enjoying it. But the I'm sorry, I didn't mean to
That's perfect.
get everybody all blushing and everything, but no, I'm serious. They, like I was saying earlier, CBS is a prime example. They've been dump attorneys sued them, and they did a countersuit. They're back and forth, and finally the FCC guy probably had a meeting under the dominance of Donald Trump, and went in there and told him. He said, "Hey, you're going to have to drop a few people," and Stephen Colbert was one of them because every night, and I watched Stephen Colbert religiously. And with the Daily Show, that's part of my back-to-back shows that I watch on CBS. And he's always zinging it at Donnie, and Donnie don't like that. I mean, as we all remember, when Barack Obama had the presidential White House uh, correspondence dinner, got him that one about 10 years ago, something like that. When he got him when he was president. Excuse me. he he doesn't like people talking bad about him. Rosie O'Donnell, he's been threatening her to take her out of take away her citizenship.
Yeah.
And this woman, literally, she's got the money. She moved to Ireland. She's living in Ireland now. You know, and she's got a nice home there, and I'm happy for her. I mean, if you got the money, go for it. But he is definitely going after the press. He's going after anybody. He wants state television. He wants government so he can dictate what's said on the news. He wants the same
Oh,
thing that
look at that
his
word you
brother
just
Putin
used,
has.
dictate. Ah,
Yeah,
You
or
just add an
tater.
or to
He's
the
a
end of it.
tater. You know. I
potato
mean, we can't say
dictator.
the whole word to get all. TikTok gets a little, you know, out of their shorts all twisted, but I call him taters.
Yeah.
He's a tater. Let's
Yep.
face it. And I think that's authorized. I can call him a tater, you know. So,
Yep. 100%.
Yoda, you're in the home
100%.
stretch on 50,000.
Excellent. And now we got to shoot past that to 100,000 because I'm a social media hoe. So,
If you don't
I have
mind,
to agree with him. He's a whole.
if you don't mind, I think there's a really apt verse from one of my favorite rappers from my youth, Eminem, where he said, "The FCC won't let me be me on MTV, but it feels so empty without me." That's what television is going to feel like when we allow him to be running the FCC the way he's running it.
yeah.
And
Yeah. I mean,
television is going to feel the same. And then, like, when television doesn't feel the same, it's going to have a reverb effect. Like, people are going to feel that because Stephen Colbert's not just canceled; they're eliminating late night television altogether. And you just crossed 50K, by the way.
excellent.
And I don't think there's going to be people who take too kindly to missing that tradition on television, because eliminating traditions is much different than just getting rid of somebody, and that's gonna be felt at a much deeper level in the soul.
Yeah. Yeah. That makes sense. We got 46 more chili peppers left before we get to that live goal. So if anybody feels generous and wants to contribute a few kerns, aside from the disappointment that people might or might not feel at Stephen Colbert uh, going away, the greater implication is the thing that I'm focused on, which is just the dictatorial nature of what we're seeing. Like, I read the tenets of fascism on a post a while back, I don't know, a month or so ago. And all you have to do is look throughout world history. And by the way, right now, as we are all here together speaking casually and enjoying our first world experience, there are 50 countries in the world that are being run by dictators. I say 51 because I count America as one of those countries. And I don't say that to be flippant or to be casual. This is what I have been warning about since 2015 when this dumb motherfucker got on the scene to begin with. It was so obvious to me. And I'm no genius. I'm a talking monkey with opinions, and I can read in English at a college level. So like, hey, I read history and I go, oh shit, look at all these examples that we have from world history about what happens to a country when these types of things take hold. And spoiler alert, it doesn't end well.
Machiavelli wrote in The Prince, when you conquer a people, do not eliminate their traditions. It will only entrench them against you.
And the thing is that this goes back to Dump's inability to get beyond his own ego. Because if he had any kind of intelligence or ability to strategically calculate anything, he would understand how problematic his behavior is right now. I don't advocate for this, but when you look at the Bolshevik revolution in Russia, basically it was people got tired of being fucked with.
Mm-hmm.
And then just murked everybody. And again, not an advocating thing, not like this is what I want to see happen. No, I absolutely don't want it to happen, but there are predictable patterns and especially predictable consequences when you go down this road as a country. Are there successful dictators? Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
But there's also a long list of unsuccessful dictators. Look at what happened to Pinochet in Chile and the long list of other people that just got fucked over eventually. What happened to Mussolini? That motherfucker was dragged in the streets and strung up.
Watch this great documentary about how Mussolini's downfall came from the kitchen, because he tried to convince Italians that pasta was un-Italian to eat, because he was he depleted the necessary materials to grow durum wheat the way it's supposed to be grown. And when you mess with people's traditions,
right,
you only enforce them against you.
Well, and of course, heirloom wheat is better, but we can talk about that some other time. But here's the funny thing.
You're not going to get me to go against the Italians tonight.
Yeah, no. I'm not going against Italians because they use heirloom wheat also. But pasta is not an Italian thing.
No.
Okay.
No.
And I remember I was in Florida at a training, and there was this Italian woman, and we got on the subject of Italian history or whatever. And I said to her, pasta is not an Italian thing. And she's like, how could you say that? I said, you never heard of Marco Polo? Like, outside of pools, his name actually means something, right? Right. So like, he went to China and he brought back, amongst other things, noodles. Okay. It's a Chinese thing. Sorry. It's just fucking history. Like, get over it. But she was really upset with me.
They will tell you. We may have not invented it, but we were the first ones to put tomato sauce on it.
Yeah, and thank you for that. Like Italian food, one of the things I love. Well, there's two things I love about Italian food. One, it's fucking delicious, and as a vegetarian, I still have plenty of Italian food options, and so that's 1A. 2, it's hard to fuck up. Like,
very hard.
It's the ingredients are so basic, like
quite simple to make too.
Yeah, Italian food is very much like Taco Bell in the sense that when I worked at Taco Bell, what I noticed is that there's just a handful of ingredients that they just combine in different ways to make slightly different flavor profiles, and in some cases, the taste isn't even different. It's just the form factor that's different, and it's a question of what flavor hits your tongue first. And Italian food is very much like that, right? There's not this whole complicated, like you don't have to be a chef that studies chemistry in order to come up with a great Italian dish. Like, like I have a friend who's a world famous chef. He's actually my son's godfather also, known him since like 1988. Great guy. And he is truly a genius when it comes to food. Like he understands the chemical makeup of food and how to combine certain foods and spices and all that other stuff to just explode in your mouth as what I refer to as a budgasm. I actually invented that word, by the way, and you can go to Urban Dictionary and see that that is the case. I am the first one to make a definition for the word budgasm. I am taking credit for it. I have very few original thoughts, so I need to talk about them when I do.
Well, see, I will add this. Since we're speaking of ethnic foods, I will say this: if you're not using Greek olive oil, then you're using glorified vegetable oil. That's my opinion on that. Sorry.
That's not a blank. That's not a blanket statement. You're halfway there. There are plenty of counterfeit olive oils. That's true.
Yes.
I actually have a list in my phone of the manufacturers that do real olive oil. So whenever I'm at a new
Okay.
store or whatever, or maybe they don't have the product that I normally buy, I have a list. If it ain't on the list, I'm not buying it.
Yep. Yep.
Because
I
it
will tell
is
you both.
just bullshit.
Yes. Yes. But both my grandmothers, unfortunately, are no longer with us. But anytime I'm buying olive oil, I have that little voice in the back of my head that says, that says you must buy the Greek. Do not buy anything else. You must buy the Greek olive oil.
Sure.
So,
The Greek
There's
people.
we invented
there's a
we
big
invented it
movement right
first.
now too to go to switch back to perishable olive oils too, ones that
Right,
are unfiltered.
right. And in
That's
America,
interesting.
those are
I'm not
hard to
aware of that.
find. Yeah, in America, they're hard to find. As a matter of fact,
Matter of
I
fact, I
I
lived in
bought
Greece
one.
for
I
two
bought
years.
one
So.
recently. Hold on, I'm trying to look at. I forget the name of it. It's on the tip of my tongue, but it's not coming to me. Hold on.
Traffic, man. I lived in Greece for 2 years in Athens, so yeah, I know about my Greek olive oil. Trust me.
So
Danny,
here's a
I'm
treat for
jealous.
you. Here's a treat for you. It's very expensive. I've decided that I'm only going to buy it once a year, but it's this olive oil called Laudemio on I
Okay.
got it through Amazon, and you can, and I'm not one that just believes that more expensive is automatically better, and I definitely am not one to go for the placebo effect, but with Laudemio, if you take a teaspoon of Laudemio and put it in your mouth, you will feel and taste the difference.
Can you
I
spell
see.
that?
I just looked it up.
Yes,
I see what you're
Laudemio
saying.
is spelled Laudemio. Yeah, because when I buy olive oil, it's always not only extra virgin, not only first pressed, but it's first cold pressed. And the cold part is important because
Yes.
most presses are heat presses, and as soon as you introduce heat to oil, it degrades it dramatically.
Yeah.
So extra virgin, first cold press, organic. I always like to throw in organic as well. And luckily, what's the name of that fucking Whole Foods, or what people
I,
used to colloquially call whole paycheck. Whole Foods has an organic olive oil, which is really reasonably priced. I buy it in bulk to save money. I'll buy like 4 bottles at a time, and I can get it delivered for free when I do that. And
Listen,
it's so good.
I will have to dissent. I will have to dissent because I'm on their website right now, and it says that it's the quintessence of Tuscany, and Tuscany is not in Greece. No, no, you're fine. I'm just
Oh,
messing with
great.
Your
Listen, I've been
bias
to
is
Tuscany
screaming
too.
right now.
you. Listen, I have years of bias programmed into me. I can't help it.
Don't we all? Yeah,
Yes.
I got you. What were you saying,
I'm,
Danny?
I'm,
Danny, I thought you were saying something.
No, no, I was tapping the screen. You might have
Oh,
heard me
okay.
tapping.
Gotcha, gotcha,
I
gotcha.
I have a little store here in Los Angeles that I go to when I want to buy a fancy serving olive oil. I'm trying to get the name of it. It is a Greek olive oil.
Hey, there we go.
That's a plus.
There we go. I'm trying to get the name of it. One moment. The store is called Maison Marcel. See if I can find the olive
Keep
oil.
tapping, folks. We're in the home stretch. I think with 64 people, it would be easy for us to get up to 100,000 likes. Rock and roll.
Listen,
I hear
if
you,
you happen
Yoda.
to, oh, sorry, WKRP, go ahead.
I will also say I am partial to a California olive oil as well as a California. They are very good.
Yeah. I don't care where it comes from as long as it's healthy. And olive oil is one of the healthiest
Yes.
substances on planet Earth. As a matter of fact, you might be familiar with a very significant nutritional study called the Greek paradox. Because the paradox comes from the idea that they eat so much fat and yet they're not obese. And part of what that study revealed is that dietary fat does not cause body fat. That was a lie that Americans were told for decades. As a matter of fact, the sugar industry bribed doctors to have doctors tell us that sugar wasn't a problem, that it was fat that was the problem, when the opposite is true. WKRP, you had started saying something a minute ago.
No, I said I'm tapping away. That's the way you said keep tapping. I said I hear you, Yoda.
You're
That's
a
what I'm
good
doing.
man. You're a good man. And since you're so good at following orders, send me $10,000.
Yeah, on the way.
Just 10? Why don't you add for 20 if you're going to go for it,
I'm a hoe, but I'm a reasonable hoe.
I will say on this subject of Mediterranean cuisine, I will tell you my family members, the older family members that are still with us, a lot of what they want to do is they've all been to Greece at least 2 or 3 times. My father, when he served in the Navy, he was stationed in the Mediterranean theater, so he had been to Greece multiple times throughout his life. And I have never been. And my mother's always like, "Oh, we need to go to Crete because that's where our family's from. We need to go here. We need to go there." Look, I just want to go over there and eat.
Yeah.
I just want to eat all of the food. I don't care. That is my goal. Is to at least go there. Maybe take a month and enjoy just the food all around. All around. Yeah.
All right. Let me take a departure from the overarching conversation that we were having and extol the virtues of a month-long vacation. When I got married the second time, I wanted it to be different, and not just the woman. So I decided that I wanted to do everything different than I did for my first marriage, which, and there's nothing wrong with this, but the first time I got married, I was 20 and I was broke. So I didn't have any money to do anything. So we got married at City Hall, and our first act as man and wife was to have a dirty water hot dog outside of City Hall. And then our honeymoon was later on that night at Red Lobster. And I'm not making any of that up. That's the truth. Now,
On cheddar biscuit.
fast forward to when I was 37 and got married a second time. This time I had money, and I had also saved up for a year to be able to do this, but I took a month-long honeymoon. And to this day, it's one of the greatest honeymoons or vacations that I've ever heard of.
They took the son and put him in,
I'm sorry, say that again, Danny?
all the child protective services. Huh?
What was that? Oh, I think Danny's talking to somebody.
For our honeymoon, my wife and I, we ended up going to Mammoth Cave. From Mammoth Cave, it was because like you have the traditional kind of thing where, oh, let's go to Hawaii or let's go to Myrtle Beach, or you know what I mean, stuff like that. And my wife and I were like, let's go somewhere where we can actually enjoy things, whether it's nature, whether it's culture, whether with society, whatever. So we started off at Mammoth Cave, which I'm telling you, if you've never been, I beg you to please go enjoy the marvels that the earth has produced for us to visit.
Mammoth Cave
Um,
reminds me of a woman I used to know, but go ahead, keep going.
okay, there you go. Um, Uh, listen, there's part there. Okay, I'm not going to say it. Never mind. Let's not get into that. From Mammoth Cave, um, we traveled down. We visited Nashville temporarily. Like we kind of visited Nashville for an afternoon, and then from Nashville, we made our final destination to Memphis, Tennessee. We went through Graceland. Which at the time, they also have a museum across the street from Graceland now, where it's got like all of Elvis's cars and all that stuff. From there, we kind of did this tour of barbecue in the area, and I got to tell you, oof, I was stuffed. But and then I realized, because like I don't know, I don't look at maps every single day, but I realized in Memphis, Tennessee, I mean, we're at Mississippi, Alabama, Arkansas, like there's 4 states that we or 3 states that we could easily travel to real quick. And I will say, traveling to Mississippi, Alabama, and Arkansas, we stayed probably about 15 minutes in each. Uh, and then on our way back, as somebody who's a gearhead, we stopped at the Corvette Museum in Bowling Green, Kentucky, and that was our honeymoon. And I got to tell you, I wouldn't change any of that for anything. I
Yeah.
mean, I really think that we probably had a better time doing all that stuff here in the States than we would have done at Niagara Falls or
Hey,
things like that.
whatever works, right? It doesn't matter. Now, this is going to sound like one-upsmanship, but it isn't, because I paused my story to hear your story. But
No, please.
here's what my honeymoon was. It started off with a week in Bora Bora, and I want to also give some context. This was 32 days after 9/11 when I got married. So
Oof.
Bora Bora is on the equator, basically. If you want to find it, because it's a little tiny pinprick in a globe, but you can either go to Hawaii and go down to the equator, you'll find it, or you can go to the Galapagos Islands and go over, and you'll find it. It's a tiny island. It is a collapsed volcano where the island is in the center, and there's a coral reef around the island, and most of the hotels are on the coral reef. To get to the main island takes about 5 minutes by boat. But it's paradise. And I was born,
Sure.
in a beautiful area, but this was paradise. I had never seen anything like this. As a matter of fact, I had never seen a shooting star in my whole life. And again, I was 37 at this point. And one night, just sitting by the lagoon, talking to my wife, looking up, I saw a shooting star every minute and a half. Now, of course, this is always going on, but in the Northeast, you can't see it because of all the pollution, right?
Hmm.
So this was just a stunning thing. And the trip getting there was absolutely awful because, again, right after 9/11, everything was fucked up as far as travel. So, everything got delayed taking off. And then we had to go to LAX first because there's only one airline that takes you to Bora Bora, which is Air France, because France owns all of those islands, right? And, all the Polynesian islands, just about all of them. And so that was like, 5.5, 6 hours to get to LAX. And then because we were delayed, we had to wait to the next flight, which was another 5 hours just to wait for the next flight. And then the flight from LAX to Tahiti, where you have to land, That's like 6.5 hours, something like that, something ridiculous like that. And so, now we're exhausted. We've been traveling, 15 hours or so. And then again, because the first flight was delayed, the second flight we missed. We missed the connecting flight in Tahiti. We had to wait another 3 hours. And luckily, I had brought my marriage certificate with me because I played on their sympathies. I went up to the counter and I was like, "Listen, I know people probably tell you this all the time, but look, I actually did just get married a couple of days ago." And tell the whole story. So they put us on standby and gave us the first seats available. I'm a good salesperson. So, um, so
You
now
come with
from
receipts.
Tahiti to the landing strip near Bora Bora, it's only 45 minutes. But by then we were so exhausted that we fell asleep on the flight. And we woke up, I guess, around 5 minutes before we landed. And all I can tell you is when I opened up my eyes and looked out the window, I was astonished. And I don't think that's too strong a word for what I felt in that moment. I couldn't believe what I was looking at. And I'm like, I'm going there? It was just stunningly beautiful beyond all proportion that I had ever seen in my life. And so then, we land, we spend a week there on an over-the-water bungalow. It was amazing. The last night we were there were sharks swimming under the bungalow. And that was pretty wild because I had been in that water outside the bungalow that afternoon. So the fact that there were sharks there was just freaking me out. But here's the thing. Intellectually, I understand that sharks never bother anybody in that area. There's literally never been a shark attack because there's so much food in that tropical paradise that the sharks are never desperate, right? So then we we went to the next island, which is an island between Bora Bora and Tahiti, and it's called Moorea. And same thing, overwater bungalow, not quite as glamorous as Bora Bora. Bora Bora is still my happy place, as a matter of fact, all this time later. But beautiful still. We met two people from Connecticut. We wound up befriending them for a little while, saw them, after we got back home and shit. So that was nice. And then we spent 3 days in Tahiti. And I can say this, Tahiti is sort of like New York City in the tropics.
Right.
Not, and that's not to diminish its beauty in any way, shape or form. It just very much feels like a metropolitan area in the middle of this tropical paradise. They have virtually no crime. Everything, like the tour guide was telling us, like the only real crime is once in a while a teenager will grab a car for a joyride. Like in Bora Bora on the main island, they don't even supervise their children. You see children all over the place, down by the beach, completely alone, because nobody ever hurts children there. Right? So like that's just, it's paradise on top of paradise, right? And then, so that was the first 2.5 weeks. Then we flew back to San Francisco and stayed there for 3 nights, and then rented a convertible and went across the Golden Gate Bridge to Sausalito and stayed in a bed and breakfast, which was my first time staying in a B&B. And then that was only one night. The balcony was amazing. You saw the bay and San Francisco in the background. It was just stunning. And then we went to Napa the next morning, stayed till the afternoon, and then we started driving down the Pacific Coast Highway in I think it was a Chrysler Sebring convertible, champagne colored. It was just unbelievable. And when you drive south on the PCH, the ocean is on the passenger side, right? So I don't think she would mind me telling you this, but my wife was terrified the whole time. even though I was going the speed limit, because I was kind of nervous myself, right? Because when you're driving on the PCH, the consequence for fucking up is not just you have a fender bender, you roll down a mountain into the fucking ocean. And at times it's like really high up, like close to a mile up, right? And so, but every time you see a commercial for a car and you see them driving down a mountainous winding road, it's almost always a segment of the PCH. I actually can recognize where I drove, because we drove the whole length of it, which is 63 miles. We drove past Hearst Castle, and what the deal was that every night, wherever we had dinner, we stayed at a bed and breakfast. So we drove for a few nights, and we stayed in Santa Barbara. We stayed in Carmel, which was spectacular. Carmel, California is fucking amazing. Tiny town, everyone's friendly, art up the ass, restaurants up the ass. Like, it seems like a law that there has to be a museum every 50 feet. It's like, or an art gallery or something. It's like very cultural
Tax
in that
evasion,
town.
as we call it.
Whatever it is, we benefited from it, right? So, and I believe Clint Eastwood was mayor of Carmel
Been there for a long
short,
time.
yeah, for a while, right? So, and then the last 3 days, because my adult wife was a Disney freak, we stayed in Disney World. So that was my month-long honeymoon. It was spectacular. And, I just wanted to talk about that because it came up, the month-long thing. So, I've known a lot of wealthy people, never been one myself, but one thing that all of them said to me pretty much was, don't bother spending your money on stuff. Anything that's new, this is my own interjection, but anything that's new stops being new after about 2 weeks, and then it's just stuff that you have. And I've known people that had $100,000 cars and said the same thing. Yeah, it's just my ride now, right? So they said,
Right.
don't spend money on stuff. Spend money on experience. And that's one of the greatest experiences I've ever had. And as a vacation, without question, the best vacation I've ever been on. So that's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
Coming in close on 75K right now.
Nice. So yeah,
Most of that occurred
we're
during your vacation story.
nice. So yeah, I lost a lot of viewers, but that's okay. I'm going to talk about
That's
whatever
all
the
right.
fuck I
Whatever.
talk about. I don't worry about that shit.
We'll see.
On the balls.
When my father, what you were explaining, once my father finally retired, the day of his retirement party, like the day of his retirement, my mom pulled up in the car or in their SUV, and they left, and they did a nationwide tour. Like, they went across the United States, well, the continental United States. And
Nice.
one thing I will tell you that I regret is when they got out to Southern California, they texted my brother and I, and they were like, "You guys should get on an airplane and just fly out to San Diego, San Francisco, wherever, and just stay a day or two with us and blah blah blah." And I did not do that, unfortunately. I do kind of regret it because the furthest west I've been is eastern Kansas. So, I would love someday to visit
Hey,
the western part of the
California's
U.S.
still here if you want to come out.
Yeah, California's great. I've
Well,
been to
I'm in
several
Ohio.
cities. I've been to several cities in California, and I like the place. I drove through LA but never stopped in LA, but I've been
Good time.
there's this one town where my friend lives. As a matter of fact, I became an ordained clergy to perform his ceremonial wedding back in 2006, and he lives in a town called Ben Lomond, which is like 30 minutes north of Santa Cruz, I think. And it's the redwoods, and his backyard is fucking redwood trees, man. And
Oh man.
again, I'm not a hypochondriac, and I'm not one for the placebo effect.
spectacular?
Yeah, hang on one second. So when I went out there was the height of allergy season. And in New York, my nose was completely congested. The 3 days that I was in Ben Lomond, I was breathing clearly the whole time. And you could literally smell the difference in the air. So go ahead, Steven. What do we got?
I just wanted to show you the Hollywood Hills really quick.
Yeah, nice. There you go.
It's my view. And we got the city right over there.
Looks like a scene from a Michael Mann film.
And those purple lights right there is a castle.
Nice. Which do you
Yeah,
know which castle it is?
it's called Cahuenga Castle. It's a venue
Coenga.
more or less,
Yeah.
but like from my patio, you see all of their turrets and
Nice.
all and the keep and everything. It's pretty cool. But
That
yeah,
is
no,
cool.
Los Angeles is a wonderful place. I grew up in Orange County, about 45 minutes south of here, and moved here after I lived in New York for 2 years, and I love it. It's a
Ah,
wonderful place to be. No matter what the media wants to say about Los Angeles, it's full of diverse people, lots of food, art, culture. Everywhere you look, there's just something beautiful to look at, and God, I love my town. I
yeah.
love living in
Excellent.
LA.
Excellent. And I heard interesting trivia about Los Angeles. Until the 30s, when they hosted the Olympics, they never had palm trees.
Yes. There's
Yeah.
actually a really fascinating story about the horticulturist who kind of designed the horticulture of Los Angeles. So we have a lot of jacaranda trees, we have a lot of palm trees, we have a lot of oak trees and magnolias all over. The jacarandas are these when they bloom in the spring. Well, they bloomed a little late this year, but they bloom purple, bright
Mm.
purple. So there's all these big purple trees all over Los Angeles. And funny you should mention about uh, having allergies. One of the funny things I learned about the history of horticulture in the United States is that when they were designing the horticulture infrastructure in like all of the major cities around the country, including Los Angeles, they planted male trees because they didn't flower. So they thought it would be a good decision to save on Department of Sanitation's expenses,
Sure.
so that they weren't always picking up pine cones and fruits and dead flowers. But what it ended up doing was creating a lot of pollinating trees. So we have all of these male trees all over the country that release too much pollen. It actually created a huge allergy epidemic in the United States, which I found funny.
Goddamn toxic masculinity strikes again. So,
It's in the trees.
a news update. Dump just ordered Bondi, and by the way, Blue, I appreciate that you call him Dump. That I love that. Dump just ordered Bondi to release all grand jury transcripts in the file case. So I believe they're going to be heavily redacted. So who gives a shit? That's just
Yeah, well,
that's just
Exactly.
fucking that's
Exactly.
performative. That is performative bullshit. We're going to see 3 words per page.
We
Yep.
want the discovery, not the grand jury. We want the discovery, not
Yeah.
the grand jury.
Yeah, but see, this gives more evidence to what I was saying. He is obviously being affected by the fact that his base doesn't like him as much as they used to. Are there
Correct.
still tons of people who are willingly ignorant MAGA hat propaganda parrots? Of course there are. There will always be, unfortunately. But some people in his base, including a lot of the MAGA bros who have podcasts who have been swinging from his sack for years, have been fucking turning on him. Andrew Schultz is one of them. Joe Rogan is one of them. Joe Rogan suddenly realized that Dump is a liar. Welcome to the party, pal. Holy shit. And Rogan is
Yeah.
one of the reasons that Dump got elected, because Rogan
Nick,
has one of the most powerful, if not the most influential podcasts on planet Earth.
Nick Fuentes, this evening. I know he's a. I know that eye roll. Yes, no, sir. You, sir. You and I are on the same page. But I will say he's another one that is departing from the MAGA collective, if you will, when it comes to this whole e-file nonsense. Because this man, like, he went and like in the best way that he can do. Just basically calling out the president and telling him, go F yourself.
Well, here is my response to Nick Fuentes. Go fuck yourself right in your stupid face.
Yes.
Okay.
Listen,
Nick
yes,
Fuentes
absolutely.
is a despicable human being because he is a minority who votes for his oppressor.
Correct.
And that is a self-hating human being. And I don't care what anybody fucking tries to tell me, because I've had plenty of black and brown people push back against what I'm saying. But I'm sorry. If you're the House Negro talking about how wonderful Massa is, go fuck yourself.
Wait,
Okay?
is his minority is that he's gay, right?
Uh, Fuentes is that he is Hispanic.
I was gonna say, I think
But
his lineage
he's
is Puerto
I
Rican,
don't whether
technically,
he
but
is or isn't.
regardless, yeah, it
I don't
doesn't
know. I
matter.
don't care about that part of it. But because and of course, if he is, that just adds fuel to what I'm saying. Is that he? How could you vote against
I've
your
never seen a
own
man hate
self
women like
interests? Yeah, right. Which is a good indicator that he could be. But I mean, all of the people like him, the Candace Owens of the world, the guy Enrico Torres who leads the Proud Boys, which, like, I'm sorry, you're a self-hating person if you are aligning with your oppressor, and I have no sympathy for you, and I don't want to fucking hear from you. I don't care what you have to say about anything. You compromised yourself long ago. And I don't care about contrition, and I don't care about, oh, I was lied to, and this is not what I voted for. Fuck you. This was the most obvious fucking thing in human history. There was never a more obvious thing than the fact that Donnie Dump was not qualified for this fucking job. And I
Correct.
even criticized Dave Chappelle for being like, hey, let's wait and see what happens. Hey, Dave, I love your comedy. I've been a fan of yours for decades. This position is not a learn on the job position. You don't
No.
elect someone and cross your fingers that everything turns out okay, especially someone with Dump's history. And so all of these people that are turning tail now, I don't give a shit. It's too late. You're 10 years too late, in my opinion.
Yep.
But anyway,
Dave got that $75 million buyout for his soul, and
yeah,
that's on this.
most of these right-wing idiots, the Charlie Kirks and Tim Pool, who is,
Hannah Moncho is.
what I love about Charlie Kirk and Tim Pool and Fucker Carlson is that they are all the dumbest, smart-sounding people that I can think of. Like, they only sound smart if you're dumb. Like, because they're
Correct.
not smart. The things they say are not smart at all. They're ridiculous. Like, Charlie Kirk refuses to debate Dean Withers, who is much younger than him, but 10 times as smart as him. Charlie Kirk goes around debating college kids because he can't debate adults that are knowledgeable. So like, to the mouth breathing troglodytes that are out there, these knuckle dragging homeschool sister fuckers, these guys sound really smart. Right?
Well, and
You gotta warn me before you do that one.
well, listen, we saw the example of when Charlie Kirk went over to what was that over in England? What was the college? He went
Oxford.
over and
Yeah. Oh,
Oxford. He went over there and
those
did.
Oxford students
Oh my
humiliated
God,
him.
it sure
It
did.
was a spanking. That was, and I think that's part of
Uh,
the MAGA kink. I think they enjoy being publicly
Oh,
humiliated.
they absolutely do.
Yeah.
And they love to
yes.
be told what to do.
Well, yeah, that's part of their authoritarian mental constituency there, or not constitution. The authoritarian mind, essentially, even though it's a complex theory, I boil it down to children looking for daddies. That's what the
Yeah.
Yep.
authoritarian mind is. That's why they're always like, oh, daddy dump, tell me what to say, tell me what to think. Because how many times, it's countless at this point, but I've been going live for a year now, and I have encountered thousands of MAGA hats in my comments, in my lives, and also in my posts. And I've had way more interaction with them than I ever wanted to, or care to. But interestingly, the through line with virtually all of them is that the only thing they can do is repeat what Daddy Dump has said. That's why I refer to them as propaganda parrots, because they can't think for themselves. They can't formulate their own ideas. If Daddy Donnie said it, it must be true. So I'm just going to repeat it. That's why
Yep.
that's why they sound so ridiculous all the time.
You know, to get a little personal, to make a point, when I was 21 years old, I was working for a company that rhymes with Schmarmani,
Gotcha.
which is a luxury retailer. And I, let's be serious, I'm gayer than a fanny pack full of rainbows.
That's beautiful. That is
That one.
beautiful.
I've never heard that one
That was
before.
the
That's
Dr.
fucking
Pepper.
hilarious. Thank you for that laugh.
Yes, yes.
And I was at it's not off-brand. What's it called? Diffusion line. It was called Emporio. But then they were going to combine both stores, Giorgio and Emporio, together. And very different clientele. One's definitely more conservative. And I was selected to be part of the team. And I had this older woman who was the women's manager there, who was from Shreveport, Louisiana, lived in, and she goes, I got to teach you how to sell to these men because we need you to be successful. And I was, and because she was a good teacher, but she said, when men like this are walking in here, it's because they don't know what they're doing. And when men are floundering like that, they want someone either to boss them around or have mommy scold them into doing what's correct.
Right.
And that translates to how these voters act.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
They-
I sold high-end clothing also at
Yeah.
Louis Boston in New York City. By the way, when you lived in New York, was it in the city?
Yeah. So I lived in like three neighborhoods. I lived in Old Germantown, Yorkville, 88th in York. I lived in Astoria at 33rd and 33rd and 33rd.
Nice.
Which is
I also lived in Astoria for a few months.
It was my favorite place to live.
Great town.
And then I lived in Hell's Kitchen.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. And I worked in Soho.
Nice, nice. Yeah.
West Broadway.
Yeah. The city to me, I'll say this very quickly and then move on. New York City is the center of the known universe.
Mm-hmm.
Now,
Right.
I am not saying New York because parts of New York might as well be Texas.
Might as well.
I'm saying New York City, and I'm not saying the universe because that would be grandiose. I'm saying the known universe.
Yeah.
All right. There, if you have never been to New York City, and I rarely say this, I'm not a FOMO kind of guy, but you are missing out on the most amazing city in the fucking world.
That's where I became an adult. Like I grew up in Orange County. We've never been really well off. My dad was a union lineman for AT&T and then a call center person. So we've always had a very moderate lifestyle. I moved to New York City with a lot of promise and talent for working in luxury retail. Started at BCBG, got recruited by Armani, moved up to Giorgio. They asked me to move to New York City. Then when they expanded the company by 250%, they had a lot of the people come train with me because they wanted people to sell like me. New York is where I became an adult.
Nice. Love it. Love it. All right. So we're going to start winding down. So I'm going to start dropping people down. Stephen, it's been an absolute pleasure to have you as part of the panel.
If I may ask for your audience, will you please give me a follow? New creator here on TikTok.
Excellent.
I've had such a wonderful time. It's been such a blessing to be with you guys and brotherhood and just like talking about life and everything. And I just truly appreciate your presence.
Yeah, absolutely. And you're welcome by any time. I'm here Monday through Saturday, 10 p.m. Eastern time. And again, have a great night. And everybody, of course, give Stephen a follow. We'll talk to you soon, brother.
Thank you.
All right, we'll go from the top down. Traffic Man, final thoughts. We covered a lot of ground today.
Yeah, yeah. Final thoughts tonight are kind of oof. I don't have
Or
enough
any
time.
thoughts, whatever.
Yeah,
Pick
okay.
something. It
Well,
doesn't matter.
here. Okay. Well, I will finish with this, and it's nothing that we covered this evening, but I think it's important. So in all of the talks that we've had about the fact that I've never actually sat and watched The Godfather, I have to tell you that there are a few actors who are still around from the Godfather series that I think because of talking about it so much on the lives, TikTok is starting to serve me these people on my FYP. And so,
Ah,
listen, I'm going to make it a point this weekend. I'm going to sit down and I'm going to at least watch The Godfather and maybe The Godfather 2.
yeah. Well, I'll tell you what. Uh, that's an ambitious thing because you're talking about over 6 hours of film.
Sure.
So, make a sandwich at least.
Yes, yes. I will probably be absent from TikTok one of the nights, and
I
that's
got you.
why. So
Well, so
if you see me
I will
not
say
here,
this.
I will be
Uh,
there.
yeah, I got you. And we're so close, folks. We're at 89,000. Keep on tapping. We can get there. 11,000 more with 64 people. That's actually like 5 minutes worth of work. So please keep tapping. You can do it. We can get to 100,000. So here's what I'll predict. And I'll drop you down and you can listen. What I predict is
Sure.
this, that as an adult seeing The Godfather for the first time, based on some of the other films that you've told me you have enjoyed, I'm going to assume that you're going to like The Godfather, but of course I can't guarantee that. Um, my experience with The Godfather is, I think, an interesting one. I have an interesting orientation to that film because my mother took me to see that film when I was 8 years old. So anyone who has seen the film will immediately understand what a terrible idea that my mother had to do that. Okay? That is not a film you take an 8-year-old child to. And to compound the irony, there's something that happens in the opening that is based on adult amorous energy. And she covered my eyes for that. But every horrific, violent thing that happened in the film, she didn't cover my eyes for that, which I think is a very interesting metaphor for America. Um, and that film traumatized me because when I was 8, I wasn't prepared to see what I saw, and I was left to try to figure out why it bothered me so much. And my 8-year-old logic concluded that the only difference between this film and every other film that I had seen is that this film was rated R. So I was like, maybe rated R films are bad. And I used to get nervous up until I was 18 years old. So this took me 10 years to work out of my system. I would get nervous going into a rated R film because of that early experience. And my mother didn't stop there, of course. She let me see, films like, what was another crazy one? I think it was Dog Day Afternoon, Clute, which wasn't violent, but that was very adult themed. Um, and she just had no discernment about what I would consume as a child. So I was just nervous about rated R films. And, I got over it. But as I got older and was willing to revisit the Godfather film, it became one of my favorite films. I think it's a perfect film. And when I mean by perfect, it doesn't mean that there were no slips in camera angles or anything like that. There were some errors in the film because that's just in every film. but thematically and it's in its effect at storytelling, I think it's an absolutely perfect film. And I think Godfather 2 is also a perfect film. Godfather 3 is an abomination, and I would tell everybody, instead of watching Godfather 3, the best alternative would be to open up a kitchen drawer, stick your hand in it, and then slam that drawer shut really hard, and you will have a better experience than if you had watched Godfather Part 3. So I hope I've made myself clear with that. WKRP, I've invited you to unmute. Please, if you will, share your final thoughts.
Final thoughts, man. You were talking about the movies and mob movies. I was thinking about Goodfellas, but yeah. But final thought is, well, tonight was a great live and well rounded. You know, talked about a lot of aspects of things, and I enjoyed it. But the main topic that you started off with was talking about Dump and dimension. A lot of things is going on. I really think that he's, after hearing what you were saying about a lot of things, he's kind of being misled about a lot of stuff. And but if he's knowingly or unknowingly knows it, but who knows? But to sum it all up is, I think next month's going to be a potential eye opener for some things. I just believe that.
How so?
Well, between MAGA now and the reports of, you know, they're so worried about the Epstein's files so much more
Careful,
than what's.
careful. The files.
Oh, okay. The files, more so than anything else that's going on. You know, they're pressing him more for this than anything I noticed. So that's why I'm believing that
But
it's going to be a struggle.
what effect do you think it's going to have?
I think it's going to have an effect between him and Pam Bundy and even Stephen Miller.
Okay,
I think it's
like
going to have a
what?
negative
What effect?
effect. What effect is like he's going to have to right now do something. See, he's in a potential bind. Whatever it is, he's going to have. He's going to put pressure on her. Something's going to break. I'll just leave it at that.
All right, that's extremely
Something's got
vague,
to break.
but I
Yeah.
don't see how he has to do anything.
No, but he's going to want
there's
to.
nothing forcing him to do anything. He's still the president, and he still controls the levers of power. And his only reaction so far in the news that we heard earlier of having Bondi
Yeah.
release the stuff, that's his vanity. That's his ego. That has nothing to do with a real consequence.
I
Because
know, but
remember, he's not
what I
worried
was.
about being reelected. If he follows the
No,
law,
he's not.
he can't be reelected. If he doesn't follow the law, there's not going to be an election.
An election.
So
You're right.
so I don't really see the consequence that he can suffer. Because again, if he was really worried about what was in the files, why would he have her release them? The files that
Well,
they
but
pretended
one.
didn't exist.
Yeah, because one reason, if earlier today he told, well, that was yesterday, he was like, MAGA is, he's like, I don't care. It's just the Democrats. It's the Democrats doing all this for them. He's like, if you're going to be my followers, I don't need you anyway. See, he said that.
Again, that gives credence to what I'm saying. He doesn't.
Yeah,
There are no consequences for him on this issue. It's all his ego at work here. Okay, so
basically, yeah.
let me ask you this. Let's create a scenario just for the
Okay.
sake of discussion. The completely unredacted transcripts are released. All of the discovery is released, which means the evidence, right? All of the unedited tapes are released, and we find out
Yeah.
that Dump is splattered all over the files. What happens?
Good question. The MAGA is going to be very, good question.
Okay, so
Uh,
let's continue the thought that you just had. What happens if every single MAGA hat, all 77 million of them, are upset that he's in the files? Then what happens?
Either they want him impeached or.
Okay,
Nothing
And what
happened.
happens? Does
Oh,
he get
they're
impeached?
just blaming.
Does he get impeached?
Maybe, maybe not. I can't say.
And if he does, then what? Is he going to get removed from office? Because let's remember, no president in American history has ever been removed from office after being impeached.
That's true.
See, this is what I do in my coaching. When someone brings up a possibility, I take them down the road of like, okay, if that happens, then what? If that happens, then what? Right?
Which is
because
good.
because well I know I'm a good fucking coach, but but let's say everything that you're describing happens. What is at the end of that? What is the consequence that Dump personally? I'm not talking about the party. I'm not talking about politics. I'm talking about Dump the individual. What does he suffer as a result of that?
Shame, indignant, and hopefully he will resign.
Who gives a fuck? I don't give a fuck about if he feels shame. That's not a real consequence. That's an internal conflict. I get it. But what's a real consequence?
No real consequence, but
Probably.
Yeah.
Again, there's no guarantee. There's no guarantee. There could be a sudden dramatic sea shift in the MAGA party, and because they have the power to deliver consequences to him. They run everything, right? So they are in position to enact justice and deliver punishment. But the big question is, are they willing to do that? Now, if you're a politician, you spend your time doing this. Which way is the wind blowing? Right? Because they're feckless and they don't have any stances on anything. It's all what's popular. So if somehow all of them decide that the right thing to do is to remove him from office, it could potentially happen, but that is a big if.
That's right.
Because let's just face it. Let's be very clear on this. The files are not new. This is not a recent revelation.
True.
We've always known about this.
You're right. You're right, my brother.
As always, my friend, it's great to have you up here. I love that TikTok has facilitated meeting people that I might not have ever met. And you're a joy to have on the panel. And I appreciate the videos you send me and all that good stuff. I appreciate your support. And until next time, like tomorrow is trivia night, and I have been preparing for Trivial Pursuit by napping and eating a lot of food. I don't know what you do to prepare for Trivial Pursuit, but I hope tomorrow we hit on a category that is in your wheelhouse, because I want WKRP to shine.
I am praying so.
All right, brother. Have a great night.
You too. Thanks, Yoddah.
Danny, the last man standing in all of my lives. If everything goes to plan, you're usually the last one here with me, and I love that. So what are your final thoughts?
Well, it's been a long day, I can tell you that. I've been on several lives today and panels, and I have been, and I got up early this morning because I got some people working here around the house getting some stuff done that needs to be done. But you had a great panel. You had some good people up here that definitely was knowledgeable and caring, and very lacking in this country today. Empathy is not a factor that MAGA heads have at all, and there's a few Democrats and liberals and independents who don't have a lot of empathy either. Unfortunately, the American people has lost their way in that regard. Making that said, I'm not here to preach because I'm far from being a preacher. Uh, the best thing I can say is that Donnie Dump is probably not going to get held to the standards that we want him to be held to. When his 4 years is up and he gets to go away, uh, I don't even know if he'll stay in this country because there's going to be a lot of people looking for him. The international court's going to be real interested in him. And Jack Smith definitely would like to get his teeth into him again. And I just don't see him sticking around. And I don't think he'll be married by the end of the 4 years. I think Melania is going to divorce him and take her money that she got from him. Because she had a pretty sweet contract with him. So as far as Epstein stuff,
The
like you
files,
said,
the files.
it does, excuse me, the files. It doesn't matter if he's on there or not. Uh, he's Teflon Don, as they called him for a long time, and he's the documents. However, the documents state. I'll be honest with you. I don't think if anybody's on those lists or whatever you want to call them files, I don't think anything's going to happen to any of them. Be honest with you. I'm sure that Bill Clinton's on there. I'm sure that Prince Andrew's on there, and Alan Dorsowitz I know is on there from his previous statements that he wore magic underwear. He didn't do anything. He never took his underwear off. So it was just that type of crap that was going on about it. So more than likely, uh, nothing's going to happen. Tam Bondi's going to try to cover uh, Dump's ass as much as she can. She will literally fall on her sword for him.
Yeah.
Probably let her light her up, and
She
she
has a
wouldn't
career
care.
because of him.
Right, pretty much. And Cash Patel, he's not going to do anything. He's not going to go up there and say, Mr. President, I'm the director of the Federal Bureau of Investigation. You're under arrest. Hey, never going to happen. You know,
Yeah.
so we know that's not going to happen. Christy Noem's not going to do anything in charge of Homeland Security,
Yeah.
and she's Cash Patel's boss and a few other people's bosses. So that's not going to happen. So
And she's too
when
busy
Ray
making
falls,
sure that there are no wrinkles on her face.
that's true. And looking for another puppy to poo poo in South Dakota. But anyway, she is absolutely the only thing that they're there for, and I truly believe this because he has nothing but billionaires on his cabinet, is there to make more money and to grift off the American people, and
100%.
that's their whole end goal is to take as much money as they can while they're still there. And if it bankrupts the country, they do not care because they got theirs. It's all in the Caymans and Swiss bank accounts and everything, everywhere but here. So
Yep.
that's pretty much what I have to say. Don't forget that tomorrow is Casual Friday. And you know what we do on Friday? It's Trivial Pursuit. So, any of your listeners that are listening, please come by the Way with Positive Change with Grandpa Danny. It's Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays at 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Eastern. And please join me. It's a good time. We talk about current events on Mondays and Wednesdays. And on Friday, we do Trivial Pursuit. And of
Excellent.
course, Yoda is there because he likes being there. And Yoda, you made 100,000 likes. And I
Did.
want you to know I got carpal tunnel on my right wrist. And I would have had to take a lot of pain meds tonight. But
Uh,
we got you there, my friend. We got you
all
there.
right. Well, that's excellent. I'm going to keep you up here for a minute so that people can have a chance to tap on your profile photo and follow you, folks. Follow Danny. Follow Danny. I would not steer you wrong. I'm not getting paid for this. I don't owe Danny money. There is no leverage that he's exerting for me to do this. I'm telling you to follow him because it will be good for you to do so. Danny comes on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, 6 p.m. Eastern Time. And Mondays and Wednesdays, he talks about positive change, how we can grow as individuals, how we can grow as a country, which we are in desperate need of right now. And then on Fridays, Casual Fridays are a treat. I literally look forward to Friday night on Danny's Live. We play Trivial Pursuit, and it is so much fun. Not only do you get to learn interesting little factoids and all that stuff, but for whatever reason, well, maybe the reason is obvious. Since we're not talking about politics, we're not talking about dump, we're not talking about anything negative in the world. We just go there to have fun and play a game. Winning is not the goal for most of us. Yes, there are competitive people, but that's to be expected. But just the act of playing this game and coming together and enjoying each other's company in a positive environment, it's worth its weight in gold, folks. So please, again, tap on Danny's photo, follow him, and let's get the party started and continued. So as always, Danny, thank you so much. It is a delight to know you. It's always a pleasure to have you on my panel every day that we do this. I absolutely love it. I love running into you on other people's lives. You're just a wonderful human being. So have a great night, my friend, and we will talk soon.
Thanks, Yoda. See you tomorrow.
Yep. All right, folks, this has been another installment of Yoddah Live. Let me try that again without going through puberty. That's pure fatigue. When my voice starts to go, it's because I'm tired, but that's okay. That's a first world problem. So this has been another installment of Yoddah Live. I'm here Monday through Saturday, 10 p.m. Eastern Time. Thank you for all the likes. Thank you for all the gifts. Thank you for the comments, the follows, all that good stuff. I genuinely appreciate it. You could spend your time anywhere, and you are spending it here. And I don't take that for granted. So thank you, thank you, thank you. And again, with any luck, I'll be back here tomorrow night, 10 p.m. Eastern. Until then, peace, love, and granola. Talk to you soon.